Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the 20. Today is the Week 12 recap. If you have not checked out my 1 through 11 recaps, please go check those out on my YouTube page. I also have shorts on my YouTube page, reels on my Instagram, and my podcast in my Spotify as well. But yeah, before we get into it, two things. One, I just want to say I cut off my beautiful hair. I'm sorry. I know you guys are all disappointed, but I did it. But I just want to say shout out to Cutman & Co. Of Solano Beach, California. Javier, dude, you got me right. Thank you so much. You really locked in and you came through. So shout out Javier. And second of all, I have my little cousin Gray with me. We're in St. Augustine, Florida. Obviously, not my normal setup, but I just have some questions for Gray real quick. So what was your favorite game from Week 12?
Eagles-Rams.
Okay, and what was your favorite moment from that game?
Saquon Barkley's key performance from the Eagles-Rams game because he led them to a victory.
Okay, but yeah, so let's get into it. Heading to Los Angeles, beautiful Inglewood, California. Ravens win 30-23 on the road. For the Ravens, they trailed 10-0 early, but scored on 5 straight drives against the league's top-ranked defense. Lamar Jackson threw 2 tight window touchdowns. There are also some sibling showdowns in this game. Obviously, you have John Harbaugh, and he remains undefeated. He's actually 3-0 against his brother Jim, with bold fourth down calls paying off throughout the game. And there's also a big key stat here. The Ravens have 4 wins after trailing by 10 this season. That's tied for the most since 2000. And for the Chargers, they were outclassed. They couldn't really keep up with the Ravens. You have 5 straight drives for the Ravens that you score touchdowns on. And another big part of that was, they couldn't get critical stops. LA is still in playoff contention, but they're not elite. If I had to say, I would say them and Washington are on fraud watch at this point. They are frauds at this point. And there was a defensive collapse for the Chargers, allowed Baltimore to convert on 53% of the third downs and 3 fourth down tries. And then just Herbert's burden. To be honest, he's accurate and mobile, but receivers dropped 4 passes showing they need better support. Staying in Inglewood, to the Sunday night game. Philadelphia 37, Rams 20. For the Eagles, dude, Barkley, he could win MVP, to be honest. Saquon exploded. 302 scrimmage yards, including 255 rushing yards, and breaking team records and fueling the MVP talk. Saquon Barkley had more yards this game than the entire New York Giants combined for the same Sunday. How does one man have more yards than an entire team? That doesn't make sense. He's not human, dude. He literally just destroyed him. And, imagine if the Giants had this dude. But there's a really big defensive turnaround for Philly. After a shaky start, they held the Rams to negative yardage for the second quarter and sacked Stafford 5 times. And there's also a huge test ahead for Philly. They have the Ravens next week, which could possibly preview the Super Bowl. For the Rams, you have really inconsistent offense. They struggled in the red zone and third down. It's simple. They managed just 2 scoring drives after a strong start. And they had some inconsistent defense. They had no answer for Barkley. They gave up massive rushing plays, and, that was really it. They couldn't contain the man, and he was doing his thing. Stafford, dude, the O-line was horrible. Stafford was sacked 5 times, and the O-line, they were going to need to do something about that. Heading to Las Vegas, Denver 29, Raiders 19. For Denver, dude, their playoff hopes are bright and alive. Denver delivered. They had some key plays, including a game-sealing strip sack, and also you had Courtland Sutton, who balled out scoring 2 TDs. The special teams, it slipped. They allowed a long kickoff return and a fake punt, leading to 10 Raiders points, but obviously they were able to win. Shout out Bonito. He had his 10th sack, which made him the first Bronco to hit double digits since 2018. That's wild. That just shows how bad the Broncos are. For the Raiders, dude, to be honest, are the Raiders going to have a top 3 draft pick? They have 7 straight losses and a tough schedule ahead, which, to be honest, really spells trouble. And massive QB concerns. Gardner Minshew's interception hurt, and Aiden O'Connell remains sidelined. And there's also, with Gardner Minshew, he's out, dude. He's injured. He's out. So the question is, you have Danny Dimes, who just got released by New York on Monday, and you have these Raiders who are struggling. Pair them together, you have the ultimate struggle bus. Okay, in reality, I feel like with this, a lot of people are going to be like, you need to sign Danny Dimes, you need to sign Daniel Jones, it'll work out. No. You see what the Giants did with him, and I don't trust Tom Brady having 10% of an NFL football team while also commentating at the exact same time, getting $160 million. Anyway, so the Raiders have some stuff to figure out, and it hurts my brain. Anyway, the Raiders, they also had some surprise rushing effort. Despite injuries, backup running backs combined for 61 rushing yards and a touchdown. So, pretty solid. Clap it up for the Raiders running backs, even though they still lost. But it's okay. Going to Seattle. Also, shout out Seattle. I loved your uniforms, by the way. Nice unis. Very slept on. Seattle wins it 16-6. This was the most boring game of the day. They win it over Arizona 16-6. For Seattle, the NFC West. The win gives Seattle the division edge, but a tough schedule ahead looms. But, this is a huge win, and they just need to keep focused and just keep doing their thing. JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He really emerged. He led the offense with 77 receiving yards and a touchdown. But you do have Geno's mistakes. He had a red zone pick, which really has highlighted his ongoing turnover issues. For Arizona, the Cardinals, you have a post-bye letdown. They struggled offensively with just 8 rushing yards from James Conner. Murray was also constantly under fire. He was sacked 5 times and even threw a pick 6. And then McBride shined. Trey McBride, the tight end, he had a career-high 133 receiving yards and 12 catches. And also, going back to the Seattle, I just want to say, dude, dope interception return, first of all, by Kobe Bryant, not the basketball player, rest in peace, but the football player, the cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks. He pulled off the Marshawn Lynch, where he dove into the back of the end zone. It was really sick after the pick 6, so W celebration. Heading to Green Bay, Packers win 38-10 over Santa Clara. Packers, they had some Thursday worries. Injuries to Josh Jacobs from cramps, Romeo Doubs to a concussion, but these injuries could definitely hurt. I know they're playing a solid coming up Miami team, but they're going to have to lock in, You gotta bounce back from these. And Love also had a clean game, which is something to, look after. Look forward to going in the future. Love avoided turnovers. He also had an efficient offense, leading him with a strong offensive line. So, great game all around for the Packers. Obviously, you blow out the 49ers. For the Niners, you have some postseason hopes. Dim but alive. A tough game against Buffalo looms, and the playoff push is very unlikely. They also have some very key absences. For the 49ers, Brock Purdy, shoulder. Nick Bosa, oblique. Trent Williams, ankle. And some highlight talent gaps, which are gonna need to be filled pretty soon. And you can't sign free agents. You can't trade at this point. So yeah, the 49ers are stuck. And also QB performance. Brandon Allen was solid as a fill-in, but the team's mistakes overshadowed his performance. Heading to the Windy City of Chicago. Minnesota 30, Chicago 27. Minnesota wins it in overtime. For the Vikings, they had some overtime drama. A fluke onside kick recovered by the Bears forced overtime, despite the Vikings lead by 11 with 22 seconds left. There were some top performers for the Vikings, which was really just Jordan Addison, who shined with 7 catches, 162 yards, and a touchdown. Also, some huge news, a QB update. Sam Darnold played through an injury and excelled in overtime, completing all of his 6 passes. For the Bears, there's some QB progress. Caleb Williams improved under new OC Thomas Brown, showing quicker throws and better accuracy. And there's also a standout performance by Keenan Allen, who has done absolutely nothing this year. He overcame a late week injury to deliver 9 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. Also, Bears, I don't know if these guys watch my show. I really doubt they do. But if they do, shout out to you guys, whether you see this or not. There were 3 Mike Ditka impersonations in the stands all next to each other. Guessing they planned it out as buddies. But it was really cool to see. They had the stash and everything. One had a Coors Light, but they had the Bears, repping the old hoodie or jacket or whatever you want to call it. Ugly Christmas sweater, whatever. But it was really cool to see. I always love seeing stuff like that, so props to those guys. Heading to Washington, this game was absolutely sad. Cowboys win it 34-26 over Washington. For the Cowboys, dude, they showed so much resilience. The Cowboys overcame some resilience, dude. I mean, they overcame injuries to key players, and I mean, they even overcame the special teams, which is really hard to do because their special teams is absolutely horrible, and they even gave up a 99-yard kickoff return. QB update. Backup Cooper Rush was efficient, completing 78.5% of his passes with 2 touchdowns. So that's solid. And, you get the win, and Cooper's a guy to trust. So, good job, Cooper. The outlook, I mean, solid win, but, they have the Giants on Thanksgiving, and that should be a win. So, if the Cowboys can get this win on Thanksgiving, Happy Turkey Day, then the hopes are there, to be honest. Playoff hopes might be there if you're Dallas, if you can win next week. For the Commanders, dude, offense struggled. The offense, once a strength, failed again with inconsistent QB play and poor rushing. And also, don't even get me started, kicking issues. Evan, you have some issues too. Austin Seibert missed 2 extra points and a field goal after returning from injury. And there was a key concern fixing the O-line and finding rhythm for Jaden Daniels. Going to Houston, probably the biggest shocker of the day, I would say, is this game. Tennessee wins it 32-27 over Houston. Titans scored 30-plus points for the second time this season. Nick Westbrook, I don't even know how to say that. I'm just going to say Nick Westbrook. Nick Westbrook had his 6th touchdown in 6 games. Will Levis was sacked 7 times in the first half, becoming the first quarterback since 1986 to be sacked at least 7 times in multiple halves of the season. Levis was late on throws and even threw a pick 6, but connected with his big tight end for the game-winning 70-yard touchdown. For Houston, they allowed Levis to throw for 278 yards and a touchdown. Houston also missed a field goal from Keami Fairbairn in the 4th quarter, making just the 4th miss under 30 yards this season. CJ Stroud had a mixed performance with 2 touchdowns but also 2 picks and was sacked 4 times. Heading to New England. New England very similar to Seattle's uniforms like New England's, so good job, New England. Miami wins it 34-15 over New England. Offense poised to face Green Bay in cold weather with high-efficiency passing. Not much to say about this game. I mean, 2 or 3 for 4 touchdowns and completed 72.5% of his passes. And Jonnu Smith is really expected to have another big game against the Packers, which is going to be a really good game. Also, tune into Amazon Prime at 5:20 Pacific time. This is not an ad. I mean, I would like to be sponsored, but this is not an ad. For the Patriots, they displayed poor discipline with 9 penalties in the first half and 6 pre-snaps. If you play for the RB Broncos 12, that's a lot of up-downs right there. And the Dolphins dominated. They scored 24 points in the second quarter compared to the Patriots, none. Going to Carolina. Kansas City wins it 30-27. For the Chiefs, their passing game thrived. Not a surprise, and many receivers were threats, even with the shorter gains. Noah Gray had 11.9 yards of separation on his touchdown, but the defense did struggle against Panthers' Bryce Young. First time we've ever heard of that. And the Chiefs defense, they allowed 249 passing yards from Bryce Young. For the Panthers, Young showed growth, and he played well under the blitz, but it doesn't matter because next week he's going to throw 8 picks. The defense pressured the Chiefs with 5 sacks but allowed key touchdowns. It's basically the Panthers. Going to Indianapolis, Detroit wins it 24-6 over the Colts. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery became the first NFL duo with 10 rushing touchdowns in consecutive seasons. Detroit struggled defending the passes, especially without rookie corner Teron Arnold. Tim Patrick also contributed with 55 receiving yards. For Indy, AR lacked support with 8 offensive penalties and dropped passes. Again, a lot of up-downs. It was their first loss in a turnover-free game since January of 2022. Heading to New York, East Rutherford, New Jersey, home of the Giants and Jets. Bucks win 30 over the Giants, who only had 7. For the Bucks, Mayfield could potentially lead the Buccaneers to a playoff push if he keeps playing like this. With Mike Evans back and a lot of defensive help, Mayfield could possibly, maybe lead the Bucks to a playoff push. But, he showed swagger. He hurdled and blocked during key plays. When have we seen a quarterback hurdle and block? Seriously trying to think. The only guy that comes to my mind is like Tim Tebow, but I've never seen him hurdle. Anyway, 11 different receivers from the Bucks caught passes, which is a franchise record. For the Giants, releasing of Daniel Jones likely impacted the team's performance. No duh. Tommy DeVito. Yeah. He struggled with 3 sacks in the first half and finished with only 189 passing yards. Doesn't really matter. Finally, the last game, the Thursday night game, Cleveland wins it 24 over Pittsburgh's 19. For Pittsburgh, they had some offensive struggles. Russ completed 21 of his 28 passes for 270 yards and a touchdown, but he was sacked 4 times. They had some empty possessions. 6 of the Steelers' possessions ended with a punt, turnover on downs, or a turnover. There were also some very big plays, though. Wilson had deep completions to Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson, and George Pickens, all on third downs. For the Steelers, dude, they can't rely on field goals like the win versus the Ravens. 6 possible field goals. You also have the trap game. The Steelers were outplayed by a motivated Browns team with nothing to lose. They have some spoiler potential. That's their second upset win over a divisional opponent. They previously beat the Ravens. Still haven't beat the Bengals yet. They have a gritty win. They beat the Steelers after a tough loss to the Saints. There was also a very surprise performance. Offensive tackle Jack Conklin held TJ Watt to just 1 pressure across 24 matchups. Alrighty, y'all. That will do it for my Week 12 recap. Thank you for tuning in. You're the GOAT if you watch this entire video. Please make sure to go check out my 1 through 11 recap on my YouTube page. I also have shorts and reels both on YouTube and Instagram. And that will do it. Thank you. This has been your Week 12 recap. Make sure to tune in for Week 13. Peace.